Tonight, we're going to watch a cat sleep. Not just any cat, the cat you know, or have known, or have wished for. And as we do, we'll ask one quiet question together. What does your cat's sleeping position reveal about the trust it has chosen to place in you? You don't need to do anything with that question tonight. Just let it rest beside you. You're going to hear 100 facts about the sleeping cat, gathered from behavioral science, evolutionary biology, and decades of careful observation. Each one is a small window. Each one is an answer the cat has already given, in its own language. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you'd like. The cat already knows how to do this. Tonight, so do you. Cut. Somewhere warm, curled into itself, breathing slowly. Weight settled. Eyes closed. Whatever it needed to check, it has already decided. It is here. A cat is lying in a tight curl on the floor, its tail wrapped around its nose, its paws folded under its chest, and it has not moved in 40 minutes. This posture is called the crescent or the curl, and it is one of the oldest sleeping shapes in the feline lineage. Cats who sleep in a curl are conserving body heat and protecting their vital organs: the stomach, the throat, the heart, from exposure. The tighter the curl, the more the nervous system is telling the body to stay small and safe. Researchers tracking domestic cats in varying home environments have found that cats curl more tightly in unfamiliar spaces and in rooms with higher ambient noise. You may recognize this from the way you sleep in a hotel room versus your own bed. Same body, different calculation. A tight curl is an honest answer. Not yet fully decided. Still keeping a little bit in reserve. A cat has just shifted positions on the couch, from the curl to the loaf, tucking all 4 paws underneath its body. Perfectly symmetrical. Eyes half open. The loaf posture is often the first upgrade in a cat's comfort hierarchy. It is not full sleep. The cat is semi-alert, able to rise in under a second, but it has chosen to stop actively scanning the environment. Behavioral ecologists consider the loaf a transitional state. The cat has assessed that no immediate threat exists, but is not yet fully committed to vulnerability. A cat in loaf position in your home is telling you something specific. This space is safe enough to stop watching, but not yet safe enough to stop being ready. For many cats, the loaf is where they spend most of their waking to sleeping transition. There is something almost meditative about it. Present, contained, not quite arrived. In the fertile crescent, roughly 10,000 years ago, the first small wildcats began moving closer to human settlements. Not because humans called them, but because grain stores attracted rodents, and rodents attracted cats. This is where the arc begins. Not with domestication, but with a quiet decision. The cats did not need humans. They needed what humans had created. Felis silvestris libica, the Near Eastern wildcat ancestor of all domestic cats, was a solitary hunter with no prior history of group living. Yet something shifted. Some individuals tolerated human proximity and found it advantageous. Over generations, those individuals passed on their tolerance. And eventually, their descendants began to seek the proximity they had once merely endured. The arc of the sleeping cat starts here, in the silent arithmetic of a small, watchful animal deciding that closeness, on its own terms, was worth the risk. A cat is sleeping on a windowsill in the afternoon sun, its body stretched long, one paw dangling over the edge. This is called the sprawl, and it requires a specific set of conditions to occur. For a cat to fully extend its body, its nervous system must have concluded that the environment is not only safe but familiar, that no sudden movement, unexpected sound, or unfamiliar presence is likely to intrude. The sprawl exposes the belly, the limbs, the most vulnerable parts of the body. Thermal imaging studies of cats have shown that body temperature drops measurably during the sprawl. The cat is genuinely releasing heat regulation as a secondary concern, prioritizing the physical pleasure of warmth and extension. A cat who sprawls in your home has decided something about your home. It has decided that the geometry of safety here is large enough to take up space in the staff. Cats sleep between 12 and 16 hours per day on average. And some cats, particularly older or indoor-only cats, sleep closer to 20. This is not laziness. Cats are crepuscular apex predators whose hunting style, short, explosive bursts of speed and precision, requires an enormous recovery window. The domestic cat's sleep cycle differs from the human sleep cycle in a fundamental way. Cats cycle through light sleep and REM sleep in a pattern that repeats roughly every 30 minutes. Compared to the human 90-minute cycle, this means a cat completes many more full sleep cycles in the same period than a human does. Sleep researchers studying domestic cats have noted that indoor cats adapt their sleep timing to their household, napping when the house is quiet, waking when familiar activity begins. The cat sleeping beside you has tuned its rest cycle to the rhythms of your life. It knows when you wake. It knows when you return. It is keeping time by you. A cat is lying on its back, belly fully exposed, paws curled loosely above its chest. The posture commonly called the belly up or the trust fall. This is the most vulnerable sleeping position a cat can adopt. In the wild, no solitary hunter exposes its abdomen to open air while sleeping unless it has assessed that no predator exists within range. In a domestic context, the belly up is a form of communication. The cat has decided, in the most physical terms available to it, that this environment contains nothing that would hurt it. Studies of shelter cats transitioning to home environments have tracked how long it takes before the first belly-up sleep occurs. On average, between 3 and 8 weeks. Some cats never belly up in certain rooms. Some cats only belly up in one specific location in the house. Where your cat chooses to sleep belly up is a map of where it feels safest. Around 5,000 years ago, cats appear in Egyptian art for the first time, not as wild animals being observed, but as creatures already comfortable in domestic settings. By 3600 BCE, archaeological evidence shows cats living alongside humans in grain storage areas throughout the Nile Delta. By 1500 BCE, cats appear in tomb paintings, in postures that are unmistakably domestic, curled beside their owners, sitting in laps, watching over sleeping children. The Egyptians did not simply tame the cat. They created the conditions in which the cat's own nature, curious, selective, drawn to warmth and security, led it to choose permanence. The goddess Bastard, depicted as a woman with the head of a domestic cat, was associated with home, protection, and sleep. The cat had already, by then, made itself a symbol of exactly the thing it was actually offering. A cat is lying with its chin resting flat on the floor, front paws extended, eyes closing and opening slowly. The low-profile rest, sometimes called the Sphinx position. This posture signals a specific neurological state. The cat is monitoring, but not alarmed. Its chin resting on the floor means its ears are angled forward and its whiskers are at full lateral extension. The animal is taking in sensory information from the environment while its body begins its recovery cycle. Behaviorists studying domestic cat vigilance have noted that the Sphinx position is most common in homes where the cat occupies a caretaker role. Cats who wait by the door for returning owners, or who monitor sleeping children. The chin on the floor is a listening posture. It is watching over what it has decided is worth watching over. Cats have a unique ability to enter light sleep, sometimes called cat napping, within seconds of stillness. This rapid sleep onset is an adaptation from their predatory history. A hunter in the wild cannot afford long lead-up periods to rest. The brain of a domestic cat can shift from full wakefulness to light sleep in under a minute, and from light sleep to full wakefulness in under 2 seconds. EEG studies of sleeping cats show brain activity during light sleep that resembles human relaxed wakefulness. The cat is resting its body while keeping a thin thread of awareness active. This is why a sleeping cat will twitch an ear at a distant sound without opening its eyes. It has not stopped listening. It has simply decided that listening can be done at lower cost than watching. A cat is sleeping curled against another cat, the two of them making a yin-yang shape on the same cushion, breathing in the same slow rhythm. Allo-grooming and allo-sleeping in cats are indicators of a specific social bond that wild cats, as solitary animals, are not supposed to form. Yet, domestic cats who are bonded, whether to other cats, or to humans, or to dogs in some cases, display these behaviors regularly. Sleep proximity in cats is a declaration. The animal that has evolved over millions of years to survive alone is choosing to share its most vulnerable state with another creature. Researchers studying multi-cat households have found that bonded cats seek sleep proximity even when space is not a constraint. Given an entire room, they will still choose the same cushion. The closeness is not incidental. It is the point. A cat is sleeping with one paw resting on your hand, lightly, barely touching, but touching. Researchers studying affiliative touch in domestic cats have described this behavior as a form of contact maintenance. The cat is asleep, but it has left a physical thread connecting it to you. Some behaviorists describe this as an extension of kitten behavior, in which young cats maintain physical contact with their mother during sleep as a form of security. In adult domestic cats, the same mechanism appears to operate with attachment figures, human or animal. The cat is not clutching you. It is not demanding anything. It is simply keeping the thread. There is a kind of care that does not require explanation for why it is happening. It simply continues. In ancient Rome, cats spread throughout the empire along trade routes, carried on ships to control rodent populations in grain holds. Roman soldiers returned home with cats from Egypt, Greece, and the Near East. By the 1st century CE, cats were present in Britain, Gaul, and along the Rhine, not because anyone systematically introduced them, but because the cat's utility made it welcome wherever grain traveled. Throughout this spread, the cat's relationship to humans remained consistent. Proximity, not dependency. The cat offered a service. It accepted warmth and food in return. It did not submit. Roman writers noted with a combination of admiration and frustration that the cat, unlike the dog, could not be commanded, only invited. The arc continues. The cat traveling with civilization, on its own terms. Always. A cat is lying on a pile of laundry fresh from the dryer. Warm, soft, faintly scented with the person it belongs to. This is not random. Cats navigate the world primarily through scent, and the scent of a familiar human is a form of environmental safety signal. Studies of domestic cat behavior have shown that items carrying an owner's scent reduce stress markers in cats in unfamiliar environments. Lower cortisol, reduced vocalization, more relaxed posture. When your cat sleeps on your clothing, it is not just seeking warmth. It is sleeping inside the smell of safety. It has decided that your scent is a place where nothing needs to be worried about. A cat is sleeping with its eyes slightly open, a thin sliver of iris visible beneath the lids, flickering occasionally. This is not wakefulness. It is a biological holdover from predator life. Cats have developed the ability to maintain partial lid-open sleeping as a threat detection mechanism. The visual cortex continues processing low-level motion information even during light sleep, triggering an alert response if something large moves quickly within range. What this means in a domestic context is worth pausing on. The cat asleep on your couch is, in a very real sense, still watching. The half-open eye in sleep is the anatomical form of the question. Is everything still all right? The fact that most domestic cats stop using this mechanism in deeply familiar environments suggests an answer. At some point, they decided everything would be fine. The paw tuck, front paws folded neatly beneath the chest, is distinct from the loaf in that it is almost exclusively observed during deeper sleep phases. When a cat tucks its paws fully under its body, it has typically passed through the light sleep threshold into a slower, more recuperative state. Body temperature drops. Breathing slows. The retractable claws, which remain partially extended during light sleep, relax completely. In behavioral terms, the paw tuck signals that the cat has made a full nervous system decision. Nothing out here requires claws right now. There is something about watching a creature whose natural tools are speed and precision decide, completely, that it does not need them here. It says something about the place. It says something about you. A cat is twitching in sleep, paws flickering, whiskers moving, a small sound escaping before stillness returns. Cats experience REM sleep, and during REM, they display the same behavioral activations seen in dreaming humans. Muscle twitches, eye movement beneath the lids, vocalizations, sometimes coordinated movement sequences that appear to represent hunting behavior. Neurological studies of sleeping cats by Michel Jouvet in the 1960s were foundational to our understanding of REM sleep in all mammals. It was cats who first confirmed that the dreaming brain is nearly indistinguishable from the waking brain in its electrical activity. Your dreaming cat is running something. It is practicing something. It is replaying something. What the cat dreams about, we cannot know, but it sleeps deeply enough to dream here. That is its own kind of answer. In medieval Europe, cats were alternately revered and persecuted depending on the century and the region. Yet through all of it, the cat's population in human settlements continued to grow. Even during periods of active hostility toward cats in parts of 13th and 14th century Europe, cat populations in port cities and market towns remained stable, because the rats that spread plague required control, and the cat was the only available tool. The arc does not pause. Even when the relationship between cats and humans was at its most troubled, the underlying exchange. Cats controlled what threatened human food supply. Humans provided heat and shelter. Continued. The cat did not need to be loved to persist. It needed only to be useful. Love, when it came separately. A cat is sleeping in a box that is marginally too small for its body. One leg hanging over the edge. Head slightly wedged against the cardboard wall. And it looks completely at peace. Cats seek enclosed sleeping spaces as a form of threat reduction. When all four sides are near the body, the number of directions from which a threat could approach drops dramatically. Studies of domestic cat preferences have consistently shown that cats choose boxes, baskets, and enclosed beds over open, flat surfaces when given a choice. Unless they are in a state of particularly high trust with their environment, the box is not comfortable by human standards. The cat's standards are different. What the cat is measuring is not cushion depth. It is the number of directions it needs to watch. Cats have a specialized muscle structure in the spine that allows them to rotate their bodies mid-fall and land on their feet. The righting reflex. This same spinal flexibility contributes to the extraordinary variety of sleeping positions cats adopt. Where a human sleeper is constrained by a relatively rigid spine, a cat's vertebral column allows it to sleep in orientations that appear anatomically improbable. Draped over chair arms, twisted into spirals, hanging half off surfaces. This flexibility is not indulgence. It is the body expressing the freedom that comes from deep relaxation. A cat whose spine has fully released its vigilance posture is showing you its entire skeleton at rest. You can see it in the way the body flows. Everything has let go. A cat is sleeping on the highest point in the room. The top of a bookshelf. The back of the tallest chair. And from there, it can see every door and every window without moving its head. Height preference in sleeping cats reflects the predator-prey dual nature of Felis catus. While large enough to be a hunter, the domestic cat is small enough to be prey for larger animals. Elevation provides both a hunting vantage and a predator avoidance position simultaneously. Indoor cats without access to high sleeping spots show higher baseline stress markers than cats who have vertical access. This is not decorating preference. This is the nervous system asking, "Can I see everything from here?" The answer, for a cat who has claimed the top shelf, is yes. A cat is lying next to a sleeping human, not touching them, but positioned so that its body faces away, watching the room while the human sleeps. This guardian orientation in bonded cats has been observed in ethological studies of domestic cat behavior and is considered a form of reciprocal protection. The cat monitors the space the human cannot see while its own back is covered by the human's proximity. It is a mutual arrangement, silently negotiated, probably not consciously reached. Two bodies, facing outward, covering the space between them. You may have woken in the night to find a cat positioned exactly like this. You probably didn't think much of it. The cat did not need you to. By the 17th and 18th centuries, domestic cats had reached the Americas, brought on colonial ships for the same reason they had always traveled, to protect grain stores during long voyages. The cats that arrived in the New World were already, at this point, thousands of generations removed from their wildcat ancestors. They had been sleeping beside humans for millennia. The shape of the relationship had changed. Where the first cats had chosen proximity for rodent hunting advantage, their descendants had been shaped by thousands of years of selection pressure that favored social tolerance, reduced stress responses in human environments, and, in some lineages, active seeking of human contact. The choice had become, over 10,000 years, and nature. The cat lying in a warm house in Boston in 1720 did not choose to be there. But its ancestors had, and the choice had written itself into the genome. A cat is half asleep on your chest, rising and falling with your breathing, and its own breathing has slowed to match yours. Respiratory synchrony between bonded pairs has been observed in bonded human dyads and mother-infant pairs, and researchers suggest that in cats, the nervous system, in a state of deep trust and proximity, may follow the nearest stable, rhythmic signal. When the cat has nothing to monitor, its breathing appears to default to the pace of the body it is resting on. Your cat's breathing, slowing to match yours, is its body saying, "I am not watching for anything else. This is where my attention is." Right here, cats who have lived through disruption, rehoming, illness, environmental change, often show a distinctive behavioral pattern when they reach a stable environment. They sleep more, not less, in the first weeks. This post-disruption sleep increase has been interpreted by animal behaviorists as a form of physiological recovery, the body finally allocating resources to restoration that were previously redirected to vigilance. A cat that has been tense and watchful may sleep 16 hours a day in a new home while it catches up on the rest it could not afford before. The sleep is the healing. Watch a cat who has finally landed somewhere safe. It will sleep like it is making up for lost time, because in a real sense, it is. A cat is asleep in the exact center of the bed, sprawled, unhurried, taking up more space than seems physically possible for its body size. And it does not move when you get in beside it. The occupation of central sleeping space in domestic cats is a form of environmental ownership that signals complete relaxation of the vigilant state. A cat that has claimed the center of your bed has made a specific decision about hierarchy, safety, and belonging. It has decided that this space is its space too, that the agreement between you extends to shared territory at its most intimate. The first time your cat slept in the center of your bed, if you remember it, was the day a decision was finalized. Not loudly, just completely. You've been traveling with a cat for 10,000 years tonight. Take a breath now, a slow one. Feel your own body where it is resting, the weight of it, the warmth of it. You are also a mammal. Your nervous system is running the same ancient calculations the cat runs. Is this safe? Can I rest here? Is this a place I can let my guard down? The answer, right now, is yes. Somewhere in your home or nearby, the world is continuing without needing anything from you. The cat already knows this. It has known it for longer than memory. Picture it now, that specific curve of a sleeping cat, the small rise and fall of its breathing. Your breathing is the same rhythm, the same old animal decision. Rest is not a reward. Rest is what you return to when nothing is required. Let your body be a little heavier. Let your hands relax. You don't need to hold anything right now. A cat is sleeping with another cat it has known for years. Their bodies pressed together along the spine, one head resting on the other's flank. In the first 10,000 years of cat-human coexistence, cats remained largely solitary in their hunting patterns, even as they became more socially tolerant. But domestic selection gradually produced something that wild cats rarely showed: the capacity for deep attachment. Allosleeping, sleeping in contact with another individual, requires the complete suspension of the threat monitoring posture. Two cats sleeping spine to spine have each decided to stop being the only one watching. That kind of trust between members of a historically solitary species did not come quickly. It was shaped by millennia of living in the warmth that humans created. The cats are no longer solitary travelers through history. They have begun to belong to each other. The slow blink, a cat closing its eyes fully and slowly while looking at you, is considered by feline behavior researchers to be a form of affiliative communication, sometimes called the cat kiss. A cat that slow blinks at you while preparing to sleep is communicating the absence of threat. It is showing you, with the one gesture most vulnerable to a predator, that it does not perceive you as a danger. Studies published in scientific reports have shown that humans who slow blink back at unfamiliar cats are approached more often than those who maintain neutral eye contact. The slow blink is a shared vocabulary. The cat invented it. We learned it. When a cat slow blinks at you before closing its eyes for sleep, it is saying the same thing it always says in this language. I see you. You are safe. I am going now, into the dark where I cannot watch. I am not worried. Cats have a third eyelid, the nictitating membrane, that sweeps horizontally across the eye during sleep and during illness or extreme relaxation. In deep sleep, this membrane is often partially visible as a pale, opaque triangle at the inner corner of the eye. Its function during sleep is protective. It maintains moisture across the cornea during periods when the full eyelid is not completely closed. In some very deeply relaxed or unwell cats, the nictitating membrane remains partially extended even during wakefulness. Veterinarians use its persistent visibility as a diagnostic indicator of exhaustion or illness. But in a healthy, deeply sleeping cat, the pale triangle at the eye's corner is simply the body doing what it does when everything, including the small machinery of the eye, has decided to rest. Cats who sleep in physical contact with their owners show measurable reductions in stress hormone levels compared to cats who sleep in proximity but without contact. Research on domestic cat cortisol patterns has found that cats allowed to sleep in contact with familiar humans showed lower morning cortisol than cats sleeping in separate rooms, even when the separate room cats were in comfortable environments with familiar scent. Touch, for the cat, is not simply warmth. It is neurological signal. Someone I trust is here. The biochemistry of safety runs through the skin. The cat sleeping on you is not only receiving comfort, it is actively reducing its own stress response, using you as the mechanism. A cat is lying across a human's feet, heavy, warm, pinning the feet lightly to the mattress. Foot sleeping in domestic cats is commonly observed and has several overlapping explanations. Feet provide warmth. They are a relatively stable part of the sleeping human body, and they are positioned at the periphery of the sleeping space, allowing the cat to monitor the room while remaining in contact. Some behavioral researchers have noted that cats who sleep at feet rather than at chest or face level tend to be cats in the middle range of the trust hierarchy, closer to the person than a cat sleeping across the room, but not yet fully committed to the complete vulnerability of chest sleeping. Foot sleeping is an intermediate answer to the question the cat is always running. How close is safe to be? The purr, which continues during sleep in some cats, is generated by the rapid movement of the laryngeal and diaphragmatic muscles, between 20 and 150 times per second, and produces sound at frequencies between 25 and 150 Hz. This frequency range overlaps with the range used in vibrational therapy research for bone density and tissue healing. Cats purr not only when content, but when injured, frightened, or giving birth, suggesting that the purr serves a self-regulatory function as much as a communicative one. A sleeping cat that continues to purr is doing something for itself as much as something for you. The vibration is maintenance. The vibration is repair. The cat invented its own healing mechanism and runs it in its sleep. By the 19th century, selective breeding of cats for appearance and temperament had begun in earnest, particularly in Britain and France. The first formal cat show was held at Crystal Palace in London in 1871, an event that marked a shift in the human-cat relationship from functional to affectional. Cats were no longer primarily valued for rodent control. They were valued for their beauty, their personality, their capacity to be companions. This was a new chapter in the arc. The cat had crossed from the grain store to the lap, from useful to beloved. The sleeping cat in a Victorian illustration, curled beside a fire, clearly a pet rather than a worker, is the same cat that began this journey at the edge of a grain store in ancient Egypt. But something fundamental has changed. It is loved now. not only needed. A cat is lying in a patch of sunlight that has moved across the floor, and it has followed the sun, shifting its body incrementally throughout the afternoon, tracking the warmth without ever fully waking. Solar tracking in sleeping cats is an unconscious thermoregulatory behavior. The cat's body temperature drops during sleep, and radiant heat from sunlight compensates without the energy cost of active thermogenesis. The cat follows the sun because the sun is doing the work. It is a small thing, a cat chasing warmth across a floor in its sleep. But there is something almost philosophical about it. The body knowing what it needs and moving toward it, without the mind needing to be involved. Cats have a heat tolerance threshold considerably higher than the human comfort maximum. They seek surfaces that would feel uncomfortably warm to human touch, and show no stress response until environmental temperatures climb well beyond what humans can tolerate. The preference for extreme warmth during rest is a predator origin trait. Conserving core body temperature reduces the energetic cost of maintaining metabolic function, freeing resources for the explosive activity that hunting requires. The cat, sleeping in the hottest patch of light in the room, is doing the most efficient thing it knows, spending the least energy possible to maintain the most readiness possible. Even in sleep, the body is making the same ancient calculation. A cat is sleeping while another cat grooms it. Long, slow strokes of a rough tongue across the back of the neck and ears. Allo-grooming in bonded cats serves multiple functions. It reaches areas the individual cat cannot self-groom. It deposits scent markers that identify members of a social group, and it maintains the physical contact that sustains bonded relationships over time. Cats who receive allo-grooming while sleeping typically do not fully wake. The touch is recognized at a pre-conscious level as safe. The sleeping cat being groomed is not helpless or unaware. It has decided. In the calculation, its nervous system runs continuously, that the creature touching it requires no defensive response. This is not simply trust. It is trust that runs below the level of thought. A cat is sprawled on a warm laptop, its full weight distributed across the keyboard, apparently unaware that this is inconvenient. Heat-seeking sleep behavior in domestic cats is sometimes mistaken for attention-seeking, but the primary driver is thermoregulatory rather than social. The cat is following warmth. That it happens to place the cat directly on your most used objects is coincidence of geometry, not conspiracy. What is notable is the complete relaxation of the body during these opportunistic warm surface sleeps. A cat that is genuinely at ease will sometimes sleep so deeply that its limbs trail off edges in configurations that suggest total loss of muscle tone. Complete surrender to warmth. Complete suspension of the body's usual self-management. The laptop is just a small sun. Domestic cats retain the hunting patterns of their wildcat ancestors, even when food is reliably provided. Studies of well-fed domestic cats given access to outdoor environments have found that they continue to hunt at rates similar to food-insecure cats, suggesting that hunting is not primarily driven by hunger, but by neurological reward circuitry that exists independent of caloric need. This same circuitry influences sleep timing. Cats are most alert at dawn and dusk, the crepuscular hunting windows of their ancestors, and most deeply asleep in the mid-morning and mid-afternoon. The cat who is impossible to wake at 2 in the afternoon is not being lazy. It is on an ancient schedule, one written before there were houses, before there were humans, before there was anything to hunt in this particular room. A cat is sleeping under a blanket, fully submerged. Just a faint rise and fall, visible at one end. Enclosed sleep environments that press gently against the body provide proprioceptive feedback, information about the body's position in space, that the nervous system interprets as a form of security. The same mechanism underlies the effectiveness of weighted blankets in humans with anxiety, or the swaddling of human infants. A cat that sleeps under a blanket is seeking not only warmth, but the tactile signal. I know where all my edges are. When I know where all my edges are, I know where I end and safety begins. There is comfort in that specific knowledge. The cat has known this for a very long time. Studies of domestic cats in multi-person households have found that cats typically form distinct sleeping preferences for different household members, seeking proximity to different people at different times of day, and often reserving their deepest, most vulnerable sleep positions for one particular individual. This selective sleep trust has been interpreted by researchers as evidence that cats form a primary attachment figure within a household, analogous in some ways to the secure base attachment seen in human infants with primary caregivers. The cat is not indiscriminate in its rest. It has mapped the household by trustworthiness. It has chosen, often without your knowing, the person it trusts most with its closed eyes. If that person is you, you may have noticed it. Or you may simply have wondered why it always ends up there. A cat is sleeping near the door of its owner's room, and it has not moved from that spot in 3 days. Documented cases of cats maintaining vigil near a deceased or absent owner's space have been reported in behavioral case studies across multiple countries. And animal behaviorists have noted that bonded cats will return repeatedly to sleep in locations strongly associated with a primary attachment figure. Whether the cat understands the permanence of the absence is a question we cannot answer with certainty. What researchers can observe is that the bond formed through 10,000 years of choosing proximity does not simply reset when proximity ends. The body goes on keeping time by the person it learned to follow. If these facts about the sleeping cat are helping you unwind tonight, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment about where your cat sleeps. Somewhere in the comments, there are people whose cats also sleep exactly where yours does. The cat has found its people. So have you. Now, back to the facts. A cat is lying very still in the minutes after its owner has left for work. Not sleeping yet. Oriented toward the door. Ears slightly forward. Separation behavior in domestic cats is less studied than in dogs, partly because cats are less demonstrably distressed in most cases. But research using automated cameras in owner-absent homes has found that many cats display a period of heightened environmental monitoring immediately following owner departure, sitting near exit points, vocalizing quietly, moving between rooms. This vigilance period typically resolves within 30 to 40 minutes, after which most cats enter their normal rest cycle. The cat is not being dramatic. It is running a check. It is asking, has something changed in a way I need to know about? When the answer keeps coming back as no, it lies down. It sleeps. It waits. A cat is dreaming, its paws moving in rapid sequence, its whiskers twitching, its mouth opening in a silent cry. The content of animal dreams cannot be confirmed, but neuroscientist Matthew Wilson's work at MIT on the hippocampal activity of dreaming rats, which showed that the same neurons fired during sleep that had fired during daytime maze navigation, established that at least some non-human mammals replay lived experience during sleep. If the same principle applies to cats, the cat running in its sleep is running somewhere it has been. The paws on the floor of your bedroom are moving in a room you have never seen. Or perhaps you have. Perhaps it is this one. The one it has decided is worth returning to. Even in the architecture of a dream, cats who are bonded to each other but separated by illness, by household rearrangement, by one cat's death, often display marked changes in sleeping behavior. The remaining cat may sleep in the other cat's preferred spot, or stop sleeping in locations they previously shared. Veterinary behaviorists studying feline grief responses have noted changes in sleep duration, sleep location preference, and sleep position in surviving bonded cats. Increased curling, decreased belly-up sleeping, reduced time in the most exposed sleeping positions. The vulnerability that comes with deep trust leaves a trace when the trust is disrupted. The cat sleeping differently after a loss is not performing something. It is making the only adjustments available to it with what remains. In the 20th century, the domestic cat became the most widely kept pet on Earth by number. With an estimated 600 million domestic cats alive today, this is not because humans chose the cat. It is because the cat continued doing what it had always done, finding human environments suitable for its needs and making itself at home in them. The cat's population success is inseparable from its behavioral flexibility. It thrives in apartments and farms, in cities and rural areas, with constant human contact and with minimal interaction. It has never required humans to love it in order to persist. The love is a gift. The cat decided it was worth accepting. A cat is lying in a sunbeam, completely still, and a butterfly lands on its nose, and it does not move. The absolute stillness of a cat in deep solar absorption is sometimes mistaken for sleep, but is often a state of profound sensory rest. The body has ceased active information gathering, maintaining only the passive registering of warmth and light. This state of non-reactive stillness has been compared by some behavioral scientists to meditative absorption, a suspension of the analytical and reactive mind while the body continues its fundamental processes. The cat is not waiting. It is not planning. It is not remembering. It is simply, completely, in the warmth. There is nowhere else to be. There is nothing else required. Cats have a specialized organ, the vomeronasal organ, also called Jacobson's organ, located in the roof of the mouth, which allows them to analyze chemical compounds in scents with far greater precision than the nasal passages alone provide. When a cat opens its mouth slightly and appears to be tasting the air, it is directing scent molecules to this organ. During the pre-sleep settling period, many cats can be observed performing this scent analysis of their sleeping environment. The bedding, the air of the room, the proximity of familiar individuals. This chemical audit of the sleeping space is part of the cat's safety assessment protocol. Before it can close its eyes, it needs to know what the air says. The air says, familiar. The air says, safe. The cat lies down. A cat is asleep on a child's bed, positioned between the child and the door. The same guardian orientation seen in bonded adult pairs. The cat is smaller than the child. It could not, realistically, protect the child from much. But the positioning is not strategic in the military sense. It is the expression of a neurological state. This is mine to watch over. Domestic cats who form strong bonds with young children in their household often sleep near or with those children and display vigilant behaviors when strangers approach sleeping children. The cat has decided, through some process we do not fully understand, that the sleeping child is part of what it is responsible for. This is the same calculation, made 10,000 years ago, at the edge of a grain store. Then the grain was worth protecting. Now it is the child. The cat does not distinguish. Sleep deprivation studies in domestic cats, conducted primarily to understand sleep's neurological function, have shown that cats, like humans, develop measurable cognitive impairment after extended sleep disruption, reduced response accuracy, increased startle response, decreased coordination. Subsequent recovery sleep in deprived cats shows a disproportionate increase in REM phases, the brain reclaiming the dream processing time it missed. This suggests that the dreaming cat, the REM cat, the twitching cat in full sleep, is doing something the brain insists upon. Not optional, not luxury, required. The cat sleeping heavily tonight is not indulging itself. It is doing the maintenance that everything cognitive depends upon. A cat is sleeping at the foot of a sick person's bed, present, still, not demanding anything. The phenomenon of cats seeking proximity to unwell or dying individuals has been documented anecdotally and in a small number of observational studies. Most famously in the case of Oscar, a cat at a Rhode Island hospice, who showed a consistent pattern of resting with patients near the end of life. Researchers suggest the mechanism may involve the cat's chemosensory system, detecting changes in volatile organic compounds associated with physiological change. What the cat does with that signal, choosing proximity rather than avoidance, reflects the same calculation it has always made. Where something needs watching over, stay close. Where someone needs a presence, be the presence. A cat is sleeping, and it is dreaming. And in its dream, it is running. And outside, the night is fully dark, and the house is quiet, and the only sound is the faint rhythm of its breathing, and yours, moving through the same darkness, in the same direction, halfway through 100 facts. The cat is still sleeping. So are most of the things that were worrying you when you started. You've come a long way tonight. 50 facts. 10,000 years. From the edge of an ancient grain store to the warmth of this room, the cat has been there through all of it. Adapting, choosing, deciding again and again that closeness was worth something. Notice what has shifted in you since you began. Maybe nothing you can name. Maybe just a loosening somewhere behind the eyes, or in the chest. Maybe just the breath, a little slower than it was. You don't need to do anything with that. The cat sleeping somewhere near you, or in your memory, or in your imagination, is not asking anything of you. It made its decision about you a long time ago, or its ancestors did, and it inherited the warmth of that choice. Either way, it is here. It is resting. Nothing is required. Let your next breath be slower, and the one after that, slower still. The night has everything it needs. A cat is sleeping, and its ear swivels toward a sound you didn't notice, rotating independently, orienting precisely, and then returning to rest. A cat's external ear, the pinna, contains 32 individual muscles, compared to the 3 muscles humans have for ear movement. This extraordinary mobility allows the cat to localize sound sources with precision while the rest of its body remains in rest position. The sleeping cat that tracks a sound without waking is demonstrating what researchers call passive acoustic monitoring. The ear remains actively positioned even during sleep phases where the rest of the body is fully relaxed. The cat hears everything that happens in this room. It has decided that most of it does not require waking. By the late 20th century, the domestic cat had become a primary subject of internet culture. First in still photography, then in early internet memes, then in videos that collectively amassed billions of views. Research on why humans find cats compelling in digital media points to a consistent finding. Watching or interacting with cat content measurably reduces self-reported stress and increases positive affect, even in people who do not own cats. The relationship between humans and cats has extended into digital space. We watch cats sleep on screens when we cannot have a sleeping cat nearby. Something in the human nervous system responds to the image of a resting cat the way it responds to the thing itself. 10,000 years of sleeping beside each other may have written something into us that even a photograph can still reach. A cat is sleeping in the space between 2 humans who are also sleeping, finding the warmest point in the geometry of 3 bodies, pressing its back lightly against one and its paws lightly against the other. In households where 2 people share a bed and a cat sleeps with them, the cat's positioning tends to shift across the night. Researchers tracking cat position with body-mounted sensors have found that cats reposition multiple times per night, apparently tracking warmth as the bodies of sleeping humans shift temperature across sleep cycles. The cat is not restless. It is precise. It is always finding the warmest possible place. And the warmest possible place keeps being between the people it has decided to stay with. A cat sleeps in a loaf position in the window, watching rain fall against the glass. The water is irrelevant to it. Not threatening, not useful, simply present. The capacity for quiet attention in cats, the ability to observe without reacting, to be present to something without needing to act on it, is one of the qualities humans most frequently describe in their accounts of living with cats. The cat watching the rain is not thinking about the rain. It is simply allowing the rain to be in its field of awareness, processing it at a low, unhurried level, not assigning it urgency or meaning. There is a practice, in many contemplative traditions, of watching rain without needing it to be otherwise. The cat does not need a practice for this. It is simply what the cat is. Cats show measurable individual differences in sleep posture preferences that remain stable across their lifetime. A cat that preferred the loaf as a kitten will likely prefer the loaf as a senior cat. A cat that slept belly up in its first year is more likely to continue belly up sleeping than a cat that did not. These preferences appear to reflect stable individual differences in nervous system reactivity. Cats with lower baseline anxiety showing greater preference for exposed sleeping positions across their lives. This means the cat sleeping belly up beside you is not simply relaxed tonight. It may be telling you something about who it has always been. An individual whose nervous system, from early in its life, decided that the world was safe enough to sleep openly in. A cat is sleeping against a dog, its small body pressed into the warm flank of an animal many times its size. Interspecies sleeping bonds between cats and dogs have been documented with increasing frequency as multi-pet households have become common. Behavioral studies of cats and dogs raised together have found that bonded pairs spend significant portions of rest time in physical contact, displaying the same allo-sleeping behaviors seen in bonded cat-cat pairs. The cat has decided, after its own careful assessment, that this large, warm, occasionally unpredictable animal is trustworthy enough to sleep against. The dog usually looks extremely pleased about this. The cat looks like it has always been perfectly comfortable. It probably has. A cat is sleeping, and it is old, grey at the muzzle, slower to settle, taking longer to find the right position. Senior cats, generally considered those over 11 years of age, show increasing sleep duration, increased sensitivity to environmental temperature, and a measurable shift toward more protected sleeping positions. Less belly up, more curled, more enclosed. These changes reflect normal aging in the mammalian nervous system. The body requires more time to repair, more warmth to compensate for decreased thermoregulatory efficiency. An old cat taking longer to get comfortable is not failing. It is simply being honest about what it needs now. There is a kind of wisdom in that kind of honesty. Cats who have been hand-raised by humans from the first days of life, without their mother, without other cats, often display unusual sleep behaviors in adulthood, seeking human contact during sleep more actively than cats raised with their mothers, vocalizing more during sleep, and in some cases performing needing behaviors on soft objects during rest. This early experience effect reflects the critical period in feline development during which social bonding patterns are established. A cat whose first experience of warmth and safety was human skin may spend its entire life seeking that particular combination of warmth and presence during sleep. The imprint is old. It runs deep. The cat sleeping on your chest may be completing something it started on its very first night of life. A cat is sleeping and someone enters the room quietly, and without opening its eyes. The cat shifts its orientation slightly, one ear turning toward the door, one paw uncurling a fraction. Identity recognition during sleep. The cat has processed the specific acoustic signature of this person's footsteps and weight distribution, and has determined, familiar, not a threat. Slightly adjusting, not waking. The cat has learned to recognize you by sound alone, by the specific weight of how you move through the rooms it lives in. You are a frequency it has memorized, and when it hears you, even half asleep. It makes a small adjustment toward you. It does not need to see you. It already knows. The domestic cat's capacity for attachment has been formally studied and provisionally confirmed in the last 2 decades. Research by scientists, including Kristin Vitale at Oregon State University, has used the strange situation paradigm, originally developed for human infants, to evaluate domestic cats' attachment to their owners. Results have shown that the majority of domestic cats display secure attachment, using their owner as a safe base in an unfamiliar environment, showing distress when the owner leaves, and returning to calm when the owner returns. The evidence indicates that the cat is, in fact, attached. The sleeping cat was never simply tolerating you. A cat is lying on its back, fully extended, deeply asleep, and a kitten has curled against its belly, tucked under one front leg. The older cat has not moved. The kitten is borrowing the warmth of a body that has decided, at some point in its own history, that warmth is something shareable. The transmission of sleep posture confidence from older bonded cats to younger cats in the same household has been observed behaviorally. Kittens raised with belly-up sleeping adult cats show earlier onset of belly-up sleeping themselves, as if the visible example of safety is itself a kind of instruction. Confidence in rest, it seems, can be witnessed into existence. The kitten lying under the older cat's leg is learning something that cannot be taught in words. It is learning what safety looks like from the inside. Cats have a significantly lower heart rate during deep sleep than during wakefulness, dropping from a waking average near 140 beats per minute to as low as 50 during deep NREM sleep. This cardiovascular deceleration represents one of the body's most efficient states. Blood pressure drops, oxygen consumption decreases, and the work of the heart is reduced to its essential minimum. The purring that continues during some cats' deep sleep may serve a stabilizing function. The rhythmic movement of the laryngeal muscles has been observed to correlate with more even breathing patterns in sleeping cats. The cat is healing its own heart in its sleep. The vibration you feel when a cat purrs against your chest is not only comfort, it may be medicine. A cat is sleeping in the same spot it has slept in every day for 11 years. The same corner of the same couch. The same orientation. The same small depression in the cushion that has taken the shape of its body over time. Sleep location fidelity in domestic cats is extremely high. Once a cat has established a preferred sleep location in a stable environment, it returns to that location consistently across years. The depression in the cushion is real. The cat has, over thousands of repetitions, pressed its body into the fabric until the fabric remembers it. This is what belonging looks like in the physical world. The place has taken the shape of the animal. The animal has made itself a place. In every human civilization in which domestic cats have been present, they have appeared in the visual record, sleeping near humans. In Egyptian tomb paintings, Roman mosaics, medieval manuscripts, Japanese woodblock prints, Dutch oil paintings, Victorian photographs, and contemporary smartphone images. The sleeping cat beside the sleeping human is perhaps the most continuous image in the history of domestic life. It predates literacy in many regions. It is the image of a relationship that chose itself and then kept choosing itself across every culture that kept grain, in every house that had warmth to offer. Tonight, you are part of that image. You have always been. A cat is curled on its side, deeply asleep, and it begins to knead, front paws pressing in alternating rhythm against whatever softness it is lying on. Kneading in adult cats is a behavior retained from kittenhood, where the same rhythmic pressing against the mother's belly stimulated milk release. In adult cats, kneading occurs during states of deep contentment and is associated with elevated endorphin release. The cat, kneading in sleep, is running an ancient comfort program, a body memory from its very earliest experience of warmth, safety, and being fed. It is doing this in its sleep, which means it does not need to decide to do it. The body knows what comfort feels like and expresses it without being asked. A cat has found the exact right position. Paws tucked, tail over nose, the precise temperature it was looking for, and its breathing slows to something barely perceptible, and its eyes close, and its ears relax from their listening position, and everything that was still being held is released, and the room, for a moment, has one more sleeping thing in it, and is quieter for it, and the night outside continues, and the house settles, and the cat breathes, and breathes, and breathes. A cat is sleeping while its owner is ill in bed, and it has not left the room in 2 days. Cats have been observed by veterinary behaviorists to modify their sleeping location and duration in response to changes in their owner's condition. This proximity behavior during owner illness has been documented in case reports and small studies, though the mechanism remains incompletely understood. The cat cannot cure illness. It cannot call for help. What it can do, and appears to choose to do, is stay. The staying is the expression of attachment in its most physical form. I have decided not to leave. This is the thing I can offer. I am offering it. A cat's body temperature is slightly higher than a human's, ranging between 101 and 102.5 degrees Fahrenheit, compared to the human average of 98.6. When a cat lies against a human, it is warmer than the human in most circumstances. Research suggests that skin-to-skin contact with a warm body can reduce stress response markers, lowering cortisol and increasing oxytocin, the same bonding hormone released during human social touch. The cat that lies against you is warming you. The warmth is changing what the night feels like. The cat understood this long before the research confirmed it. There are cats that sleep only on one specific piece of furniture in a house, a single chair, a particular window ledge, and resist all other sleeping locations, even when offered softer or warmer alternatives. Sleep location exclusivity in some cats has been interpreted as heightened sensitivity to environmental security signals. The chosen location offers something: a specific sightline, a wall at the back, a particular acoustic quality that the cat's nervous system has judged optimal, and that other locations, however plush, do not replicate. The cat is not being difficult. It is being precise. It has found the one spot where all the variables resolved correctly. It is sleeping where it is safest. It is not interested in a better cushion. A cat is sleeping and in its sleep it makes a small sound, a chirrup, a murmure, something between a purr and a syllable, and settles more deeply into the warmth. The vocalizations of sleeping cats occur most frequently during REM sleep and are considered artifacts of the same motor cortex activation that produces paw twitching and whisker movement. Whether they represent anything communicative or simply the sound of the body playing back its day, we do not know. What we know is that the cat makes sounds in sleep that it makes in no other context. Small sounds, private sounds, the sounds of a creature somewhere inside itself, moving through something, still alive to it, still present in it. A senior cat is sleeping more than it used to, 17, sometimes 18 hours a day. And when it wakes, it takes a moment before it knows exactly where it is. Age-related changes in feline cognitive function, including a condition called feline cognitive dysfunction syndrome, can produce disorientation, altered sleep-wake cycles, and changes in sleep behavior in cats over 15 years of age. Veterinary guidance suggests that environmental consistency, the same sleeping spots, familiar stgent, unchanged surroundings, is one of the most effective supports for cognitive aging in cats. The cat knows this room. The cat has always known this room. Keep the room the same. Let the room be where it finds itself. A cat is sleeping on a shelf of books, its body draped across the spines, one paw resting on a cover it cannot read, its breathing slow, its eyes closed. The cat chose the elevated surface for height and warmth, not for literature, but something about the image, a sleeping animal pressed against accumulated human words, has appealed to people for as long as there have been both cats and books. Cats in libraries, cats in bookshops, cats beside writers at their desks. The cat is interested in the warmth and the height and the proximity to the person who sits there. Everything else is human meaning-making. The cat has no complaint with being meaningful, as long as the surface is warm. Two cats who were separated for 6 months and then reunited spent the first hour of reunion sleeping pressed together. Not grooming, not playing, just lying in contact, re-establishing the physical certainty of each other's presence. Reunion behavior in bonded cats shows that sleep proximity functions as a primary vehicle for re-establishing the social bond after absence. The cats did not need to communicate what they had missed. They needed to feel the warmth of it again. This is sometimes how it is with the things we love most. Words are not the first language. Warmth is the first language. Proximity is the sentence the body was designed to make. A cat is asleep, and the house is completely quiet, and the night outside is completely dark, and everything is as it should be. And the cat knows this, and is still, and breathing, and dreaming perhaps of some ancient field, some original warmth, some grain store in a delta 10,000 years ago, where a small watchful animal made a calculation and moved closer to the fire and found that nothing happened except warmth, and moved closer still, and lay down, and slept, for the first time beside a human, and did not die, and woke in the morning, and stayed. We are 3/4 of the way through tonight. The cat has been sleeping for hours. So have you, perhaps. in the way sleep arrives before we notice. Not at once, but in layers. Each fact a layer. Each breath a little deeper than the one before. You have been watching a cat sleep for a very long time tonight. You have been learning what the cat already knew. That this is a safe place. That the night holds nothing that requires watching. That every posture is a verdict already given. The verdict is, here is where it decided to be. Your cat decided this about you. Now you can decide it about tonight. The cat is sleeping. You are close to sleeping. In this moment, there is no distance between those two things. You are both warm. You are both breathing. You are both in the dark, in a place that has been decided safe by the most reliable judge available, a creature whose entire survival has depended on reading safety correctly for 10,000 years. It read this correctly. You are both here, both resting, both held by the same quiet, the same warmth, the same night that has no requirements left. Let your body be an animal that has found the warmest spot. Let your breathing slow to the pace of the cat's breathing. That slow, unhurried rhythm that has nothing to prove and nowhere to be. The distance between you and sleep is the same as the distance between the cat and sleep, which is none at all. A cat finds its spot, turns once, lies down. The spine relaxes, releasing the last trace of readiness it was holding. The paws fold. The eyes close. The room holds still around it. A cat in deep sleep produces delta waves in its cerebral cortex, the same slow oscillations present in human deep sleep. Two different bodies, producing the same ancient electrical rhythm, the same wave that moves through every sleeping mammal, the one that repairs, consolidates, and restores. A cat's whiskers relax during deep sleep, the long facial hairs losing their outward tension, curving slightly downward, no longer measuring the width of spaces or reading the air for what might be coming. Everything that was measuring something has stopped. A cat chooses where it sleeps. Every night, the same choice. The choice is not accidental. The choice is repeated because the answer keeps being the same answer. And the answer, for a cat who sleeps where you are, is yes, here. This A cat, sleeping in a house where a baby has just arrived, spends the first weeks at a careful distance from the new sound and smell, then begins, incrementally, to move closer, sleeping outside the door, then inside the door, then eventually in the room. The cat is always doing the same thing, assessing, deciding, moving toward what it has determined is safe. It gives new things the time they need to be known. The weight of a sleeping cat on a human lap is a specific, warm pressure. Research on weighted touch in humans has found that moderate pressure on the body reduces autonomic nervous system activation, slowing heart rate, lowering arousal. The cat in your lap is providing a weighted, warm, breathing intervention. It is calming your nervous system. It has always been doing this. A cat turns its face into its own tail and breathes slowly. The curl is complete. The animal has become its own warmth, its own enclosure. It does not need anything from outside right now. Everything it requires, at this moment, it already is. In the oldest human dwelling sites where cats and humans coexisted, archaeologists have found their bones interred together. Cats buried beside humans, sometimes in the same grave. 10,000 years of sleeping together leaves a mark, even in stone, even in the quiet dark of the earth, where everything eventually rests. A cat sleeping beside a sleeping child settles into a slower rhythm than when sleeping alone. Researchers have observed that bonded animals in close proximity tend to synchronize respiratory patterns over time. The calm moves between them. Two bodies, finding the same quiet frequency in the dark. A cat keeps one ear slightly mobile in sleep, its angle shifting occasionally toward a sound and then returning. The monitoring is gentle now, more like listening than watching. The body keeping a light thread on the world without asking anything of it. The first time a cat sleeps on your chest, fully committed, its full weight settling into you, its breathing slowing to match yours. You feel that something has been decided. You are right. Something has. That moment does not unhappen. A cat curls tighter in a cold room, looser in a warm room. The body always knowing what the body needs, always adjusting. The quiet, continuous asking, what does this moment require? And then, seamlessly, providing it. A cat in a house where someone is grieving will sometimes sleep near that person more than usual. Not all cats. Not always. But enough that it has been noted across centuries. In every language that has both a word for grief and a word for cat. The cat does not understand grief, but it understands the changed quality of a person's stillness, and it moves towards stillness. It always has. A cat sleeping in the sun has its warmest point along its spine. The heat traveling down through the fur and skin and muscle to the bones. From the outside, it looks completely still. From the inside, warmth is moving through everything, slowly and without interruption. The cat is sleeping. You are sleeping. Warmth moving through you now, the way it moves through a cat in the sun, from the outside inward, reaching the bones. The cat does not wonder if it is sleeping correctly. It breathes. That is enough. A cat settles. The body remembers how to do this. It has always remembered, across every season of its life, across every difficult stretch. Lie down. Let the warmth come. The body knows what to do next. The cat you are thinking of right now, sleeping or woken, near or far, living or remembered, made a decision about you. It was quiet. It was made in the language of warmth and proximity and closed eyes. The decision was, yes, you were, yes. A sleeping cat's heartbeat, felt through a palm resting lightly on its side, is steady and slow, each beat the same as the last. Each beat a small, unhurried certainty in the dark. The cat somewhere in your home right now, on a couch, in a box, curled on the warmest available surface, has made its assessment of this space and found it worth staying in. For a creature that descended from solitary hunters, that assessment is a considered one. It looked at everything. It chose to remain. When a cat slow blinks at you before it closes its eyes, it is saying, "I see you. I am not afraid of what I see. I am going now into the place where I cannot watch. I am not worried because of what I saw." A cat breathes. Slowly. In, out. The chest rises. Falls. The body doing what it has always known how to do, without being asked. In, out. You know how to do this too. Somewhere right now. In every time zone on Earth. Millions of cats are sleeping in their corners, and their sunbeams, and their warm piles of laundry, and their slightly too small boxes. All of them breathing. All of them warm. All of them having decided, each in their own way, that tonight was safe enough to close their eyes. The cat that first chose the warmth of a human fire 10,000 years ago made that choice for every sleeping cat that came after. The warmth you offer tonight is the same warmth. Old as the species. Old as the choice itself. Your cat's sleeping position tonight is its answer. The answer was given the moment it lay down, where it lay down. In the room it chose. Beside the person it decided on. Safe. Yes. Here, the verdict has always been here. A cat sleeps. The night is long and quiet. The body does what the body knows how to do. Everything that needed to be checked has been checked. Everything that needed to be decided has been decided. The only thing left is warmth, and dark, and breathing, and somewhere nearby. Ukut, doing exactly the same. It decided, quietly, without ceremony, that you were its safe place. It decided this the way it decides everything, carefully, with full information, in its own time. And then it lay down, and it slept, and it chose right. And so did you. We've traveled a long way tonight. We began 10,000 years ago at the edge of a grain store in the Fertile Crescent, watching a small, watchful wildcat make its first careful calculation about the warmth of human proximity. We followed it through Egypt, Rome, medieval Europe, across oceans, into Victorian parlors and modern apartments, into this room. Tonight, we watched it choose, in the early facts of tonight, to move closer to the fire. We watched it, further along, confirmed as genuinely attached. The science finally naming what its behavior had always said. We watched 100 ordinary moments of a sleeping cat. Postures and purrs and twitching dreams and slow blinks in the dark, and found in all of them the same quiet answer. The arc ends where it always ends. The cat, asleep, beside the person it chose. Your cat sleep is a trust scale. Every posture is a wordless verdict, not just about the space, but about whether you are its safe place. The cat taught this tonight by simply being itself, by sleeping the way it sleeps, in the place it chose, with the weight it allowed. It did not need to speak. 10,000 years, and the language has always been the same. Warmth, and proximity, and closed eyes, and the willingness to be somewhere completely. You were the somewhere it chose. You are an animal. The cat is an animal. You both found your way to warmth tonight. You both settled. You both breathed. The line between your resting and its resting has grown soft and thin. The same darkness holds you both. The same night. The same quiet that asks nothing and requires nothing and simply continues. Dark and warm, all the way down. Let the cat go. Let the facts go. Let tonight go. What remains is only what the body knows. The breath, and the warmth, and the weight of something that trusts you completely, sleeping exactly where it chose. If you'd like to keep traveling through the night with more sleep science, the next video is waiting for you. But if your eyes are already closed, stay there. The cat is already there. Everything else can wait. You are allowed to stop watching now. You are allowed to stop checking. The night has been audited. The room is safe. The verdict is in. You are allowed to let your body be heavy. Let your hands uncurl. Let your breathing slow. Let it follow something older and quieter. You are allowed to take up space in the dark. All the space you need. You are allowed to dream, to twitch, to move toward warmth without knowing. And when morning comes, wake slowly, in your own time. Like the cat, you already know how to do this. You have always known. Good night.